several labels you want to get signed to. I mean, only ever target one at a time, right? And make sure that the demo you send is like super fresh. So if another label doesn't get back to you, don't send the same link to another label, all right? I still think old school's the best way. I actually think a private SoundCloud link with download enabled, so they can download it. I don't know why people don't put download enabled. They might listen to it on the go. But leave the stats on so they can see when it was uploaded. And literally, the minute you press send on that email, you should have only just uploaded that MP3 to SoundCloud. So that when the A&R opens it, they go, oh, that's fresh. That's just for me. If I have a demo and it's like 21 days and 36 plays, I'm like, nah, not for me, because loads of people listen to it and it's not they're not thinking it's just for me.
Hey, I'm Graham Farmer, founder of the dance music magazine Data Transmission and Twitch partner, streaming on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays from 1 p.m. On this channel, we share the full interviews from my Twitch streams. But before we jump into this interview, if you can help this video get more reach by giving it a like and a comment, it'd be most appreciated. And don't forget to consider subscribing so you always get notified when we drop new interviews. Pete Griffiths, welcome to the shed. Welcome to Twitch. Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Pete's got a mic, so it's all like lovely.
It's all smooth.
I know, right? And you did TV presenting for Toolroom I read a long time ago. So
do you know what? I did, yeah. When we launched Toolroom TV, and I had a bit of taste of presenting. I loved it. It was so much fun. So much fun.
So we've even got presenters in here, which is always nice. So yeah, cool. So, man, the chat's going mad. How are we on the chats? Can you see the chat?
Everyone good?
Can you see the chat, by the way, dude?
I can, mate. I've found the chat comments.
Yep.
I'm used to this from our Zoom streams.
Right. I've not done this for a while, but I thought we'd start right at the start with you. And I thought, let's chat about how you got into music. Let's talk about where it kind of went through, and we can play some records on the way and talk about your 15 years of dance music.
Okay. Do you know what? It's even longer than that, mate, now. I'm
Is
getting
it?
old. Yeah, I mean, I actually got into dance music, early 90s.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm all about. That's me through and through. That's what's influenced me. That's sort of what I still listen to now. Older brother, so 3-4 years older than me. He started going to the sort of warehouse raves, infamous raves in the UK that were around the M25. Early to mid 90s. And so I got influenced by hearing what he was playing from, I suppose, bootleg cassettes that he was getting.
Nice.
And I was just hooked. And then I got into stuff that was kind of through the charts that was coming through in dance. So I was really young at this point. I was like 12. Things like Altern, KLF, all that kind of stuff. And I was just obsessed, absolutely obsessed. I used to literally... I remember, obviously, when the national charts used to be on a Sunday, and I'd sit there with my little tape deck and play and record, and trying to pause it to get the presenters out and trying to get the track. And I was obsessed by it then, and I got pulled into it from quite an early age. So I actually started going out raving in the 90s. I was only 15. It was the advantage of being quite tall.
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can find a photo. I had a ponytail, long ponytail. So
Amazing. Amazing.
Full on 90s look. And I was obsessed with that music. And I actually found the way to get that music was through vinyl. And that was it. I was just hooked. I was hooked on DJ, and I persuaded my parents to get a really cheap set of belt drive decks when I was about 15, and just did part-time work whenever I could at weekends, in farms, whatever, just to pay for my vinyl addiction, basically. And then I started going to raves, and I used to get in. There was a little local record shop in Tunbridge called Scratch Masters. It was tiny. They used to do stalls in the raves, and where people could come and buy like a Polaroid picture of themselves, whistles, all that sort of stuff.
Nice.
So I'd get in with them at the start and help set them up and run their stall for a bit, and then that was it. I was addicted. I was in a very big, comprehensive school. I was one of the only ones in this huge school that had decks and would make mixtapes for people, and I was constantly getting told off and letters home because I was always trying to find ways to listen to my Walkman, basically, constantly through the school. Do you know what? This shows how old I am now. When headphones, they first developed, obviously the ones that actually went in ears rather than over there. And I remember splitting the cable and putting it through my school jumper.
Oh, yeah, we had to do that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I remember. Holy moly. I thought about that. Shit, we used to do that. You just run it up and then you pop it out through the sleeve and you'd be like sitting there going.
And you're just sitting there like that in lesson. with some
Oh my
hardcore drum and bass
days.
playing.
Oh my, I've not even thought about that for such a long time. Oh my days.
It's so funny, right? Isn't it? So old school. And I used to, I basically just had headphones on all the time. And then I kind of I started getting gigs and stuff. So I actually started doing like, you know what everyone does when they first get gigs, mates parties, local hall. And then there was a thing in the late 90s. So sort of, it was about 97. I was only 17. And the culture started then of DJs going in bars. It hadn't really happened there before. It wasn't really a thing. It was just big clubs. And suddenly they started putting DJs in bars in all these towns. And I went to a local bar and just said, look, I can pack this place out. Trust me. I said, let me DJ here for free for a month. And they didn't even ask me how old I was. I was only 17. I shouldn't have even been in there. And that was it. That was the start of loads of local residencies that I used to play. And it was like, I was playing 6-8 hours, you know, like people do now with residencies, Fridays and Saturdays. And I was cross-genreing from like UK garage, US house, even touching into a bit of trance and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was the start. That was the real start of it all. And then it just progressed from there. I started getting bookings at some of my older brother. So his mates was then putting on parties like, they were doing stuff at Lyd, which is an infamous rave spot. They do festivals there now at Lyd Airport and sort of farms and stuff like that around Kent. And then just started sort of networking and working my way up. I actually found, I wish I had it here actually, I actually found last week one of my old mixtapes with a homemade business card. And I actually put my mum's home number on it, phone number.
Yes.
On this mixtape card. Yeah, it was good fun, amazing times. And then it just went from there. I started getting bookings, started playing around London. I was refining my sound, sort of slowing down from the hardcore drum and bass that I got into, and eventually finding my way with house. It was an incidental find in a record shop, actually, Frankie Knuckles' Tears. And I found that in an old record shop and I hadn't really gone back at the time and discovered and like really sort of investigated the culture of where house music had come from. And that changed everything for me when I found that record. I reckon that was probably around 97, 98 when I found that. And that was it. Just the love affair of house music was born from that point. And everything house music from there was my obsession and has been since. I'm literally, I suppose, I'm obsessed with house music.
Nice. A few things. Firstly, yes, taller. Yeah, I was. Let's go a little bit back. So I agree with you. Like I was quite short when I was younger. I was only about 5'5", and then one summer I just like sprouted to like I'm 6'5", 6'6" now. And all of a sudden it was like, can we go in the club with you? Do you want to come to the club? Do you want to come to the club? Do you want to come to the club? And we're like, what club? Let's go. Like,
the thing is, it's so strict now, isn't it? But back then, it was so much easier to like get into pubs and stuff, even though you were a bit, you know, you weren't quite 18. But that height,
you definitely didn't look it, but because you were height, they could pull it off. And
yeah, totally. And I remember back then as well, it used to crack me up. They'd ask you like how old you were, and I think if you just recited something, like recited when your birthday was and a few things, they'd accept that. There was no such thing as photo ID back then.
Oh, we used to make our own. We had my mum and dad got a scanner, and it was one of those hand ones. You pulled it along.
Amazing.
And we used to make our own. We made these college ones, and it took like about an hour to scan it. Like maybe probably 3 hours to scan it, and then a little bit longer to print it. And it was just like we found
NUS cards. Love it.
Fake NUS card, unbelievable. And then when we went to my mate, we gave this one to this kid, and he was like, "Right, you've got to know your birthday off. Right, what's your birthday?" And he recited it fine. And I went, "What's your star sign?" And he went, "Oh, I don't know. No one knows the fucking star sign." He went to the door, all cocky as, and he went. They went birthday, and then they went, "What's your star sign?" And he went,
"No."
And I don't even know that was going to happen. And then he got kicked out. And we were like, I told you, everyone knows their star sign.
You got to get your research down. You got to get that prep down, right?
Yeah.
I used to pinch my older brother's paper driving license. So I just used that. And as long as I could recite everything off it, it was like, bam, just in everywhere. It was great.
That's mental. So that's 2000. That's the end of 97. You were starting house music.
Yeah, mid to late 90s when it was all happening for me.
That's mad. And then where did that? Was it always going to be the DJ? Was it when was the kind of
the DJing side? I was just DJing every single weekend, Fridays, Saturdays. You know, mates sort of coming with me. A lot of them were residencies, so they're really regular. and I just spot opportunities. It's all about seeking opportunities, in this game. And
Oh yeah, I agree.
there was another town a bit further on from me, and they converted an old snooker hall into a club, but the resident DJ just didn't know what he was doing. I think he was trying to play hard house, and I went to the owner and just said, look, this is a small town. You just need to mix it up, sort of commercial-ish house. And I said, let me come in and play free for a month, and I'll pack it out. And I even then used to print my own posters out. I'd knock stuff up even in really basic in Word, and I'd go there about an hour early and just walk up the high street and stick them on all the shop windows that were shut. Nice. About just like buzzwords, Ibiza and all this sort of stuff. And even when I'd finish at 2 a.m, I was quite respectful. I'd go back and take all the posters down. Nice. Didn't want the club to get into trouble. And it packed out, and I had an amazing residency at this club. Actually, that led on to the next part, because I actually got a full-time job when I was 17, 18 during this time, to sort of fund like music, the vinyl and stuff. I wasn't getting paid much for gigs, and I was a trainee to basically be an architect within a planning department within a massive housing company.
Nice.
And I did about 2 years of it. I was designing like road layouts and drainage, really boring stuff. And I quit after 2 years. I was just like, I can't do this. My parents went mad. They were like, this is a career for life. And I said, I just want to do music. And when I got that residency in a club, when I got it packed, they were paying me really good money. I think I was getting like £300-400 a night. And like at that time,
that's loads.
And I was doing like the 2 nights, the Friday and Saturday. So what I started doing in the summer was I'd play the Friday, play the Saturday, and I'd drive straight to the airport and just buy a standby flight to Ibiza, go to Ibiza with that money in my pocket. Some of my mates were working there, spend the week with them, just partying, having a great time, and then fly back Friday, do the residency, and then do it again. So I ended up flying backwards and forwards for a couple of summers, and just did a lot of networking and partying. But I was in a lucky position with what I was earning with those gigs.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I loved fully. It was a bit commercial, but it was great, and that was an amazing time. So that was the end of the 90s, early sort of going into 2000. And that's when I had my first whole Ibiza experience, and then went on to do a couple of summers staying there, just doing little gigs here and there that you could get in bars, little warm-up sets. And then that led me to get another job. So here in Maidstone, where we're based in Toolroom, there's actually, we're not a huge town. We're like 150, 160,000 people here. But there's an amazing house music scene here. Nick Fanciulli's from here, right. Knight's from here. We've got loads of up-and-coming artists that are buzzing right now. It's mad, We've got some other management companies and labels. And there was 2 amazing venues here, the Loft, which is sadly closed, and the Source Bar, which is still going now. The Source Bar has had like Cole Cox, Loco Dice, Guy. And I got a job working with them. I won a DJ competition they did, and they gave me a residency on a Sunday night, which was shocking. It was dead, but anything to get in. And then they offered me a job. I was quite good at graphic design, self-taught. So I started, and I basically blagged it and became their full-time designer. They had about 3 or 4 clubs. So I was doing all their flyers, their artwork, and then promoting. So I was going out on the street and promoting their events. Going out in the day, the old school, like leaving piles of flyers in hairdressers and stuff. giving out free drinks vouchers to get people in. And that's where I got a residency there and got to start playing with some bigger DJs. And that led me on to sort of my opportunity at Toolroom, actually. I was buying all my records from a record shop in Maidstone that was quite big at the time, called Plastic Surgery Records. And the guy who ran that, Owen, he actually set up Toolroom with Mark Knight and Stuart Knight. The 3 of them set the label up. And that I used to sort of pop up there because I knew that they were local in Maidstone. So sometimes when I'd finish working for the venues as a designer, I'd pop up there about 4 o'clock and just loiter and hang around the house. It was run from Mark's parents' house. And then I started saying, I can do little bits of design work here and there in return for promos. Yeah. And this was like the era of Don't Stay In and MySpace. And suddenly there was like, oh my God, HTML newsletters. Yeah. You can actually have a newsletter emailed to you with links. So I started doing all that stuff for them, and then they offered me a job.
No way.
Yeah,
that's mad, because that's literally how when I started at Turn Mills, I was literally exactly the same. I busted in. I was like, your website. I said to someone on the dance floor, "Oh, your website's shit," and it happened to be Danny Newman, and he was like, "What do you mean my website's shit?" And I was like, I was like, oh, it's shit. Look at it. I'll make you a better one. And then I started doing all the HTML mails and for them and kind of some graphic online stuff for them. That's mad. I didn't realise this. This is cool.
Yeah, really similar. That's really similar. Yeah, so that was my background. And they were like, yeah, do you want to come and work for a sort of label assistant role? And I was like, they had this tiny, tiny little just wooden bench table. Because if everyone, most people probably know this now, but it's called Toolroom because it was set up in Mark and Stuart's dad's tool shed. Yep. Which was at the front of their house, like a brick-built shed. And Mark built a studio in there, and there was a little tiniest vocal booth you've ever seen, and then a little shelf. And I used to send out like the vinyl and some of the merch they used to sell back then. I'd do the promos. I mean, God, I used to walk to the local post office with a sack with about 200 CD promos, which I'd hand printed each one of them. And then I'd sit at the corner of the post office and I'd be like, can I have 200 first class stamps? And I'd be licking them and sticking them all on these things to send out promos. It was stuff. And then I was doing bits of design for them and I was bits of everything. And then about a year into that, they were like, right, we're expanding, the label's doing well, we're going to go and get some premises in town. So we were working out their mum and dad's study. And we moved to the building next door that we're into now. It's a huge empty warehouse, and Mark built a studio in there. It was really cool, those warehouse vibes. And then some more people came along. So George Ankrit, who you know, one of the directors now, he joined then, and then the team just expanded. And then Matt Smallwood, and that's when my role progressed. I think what I was doing with label assistant and design, Mark soon realised that I was like just addicted to music and just kept finding Stuart just keeps finding me like loitering towards the studio and sitting in the studio next to Mark rather than doing what I should be doing. And Mark soon realised I had a very similar taste to him and an ear for music. I did skip that. I had done a basic production course about 2 years before that as well. So I was starting to get into production and playing around with it. And that's when Mark was like, you need to come into an A&R role with me. And that's where it really started. I worked side by side with Mark. I really learned from him what A&R was and how to utilise, I suppose it's a skill set that certain people have that can do A&R, of hearing music and being able to hear it constructively, help people, push their ideas and bring them to life. And so I spent a long time working side by side with Mark in that role, really developed, really learned a lot, which then led me on to actually become the label manager, sort of looking after the single output and, sort of the main A&R alongside Mark. So, that was an amazing journey, really, from that to that. It's quite weird talking about it, actually.
That's mad.
From start to finish, and you sort of realise the journey you've been.
But I guess that A&R side must have also, because you were on the floor loads and you knew what you were watching music and seeing what music, you're playing lots of music and you're seeing what music shaped, moved people, and therefore that's obviously half of that A&R role. It's totally. Especially with dance music,
Totally, yeah. I think because I spent so long as a DJ and playing multiple genres, like across dance and commercial stuff, really getting an understanding for that music and playing 6-8 hour sets, you've got to learn how the floor really works and really understand that. And so that was a skill that I developed over time. Yeah, it definitely helps with A&R, that club side. Then I was playing in clubs, I was playing Toolroom stuff. That sound of Toolroom was what I loved. So it sort of, that's why it worked, I suppose. That's why it connected,
So what year are we up to now? Like where are we in the kind of timeline now?
So let me try and work this out. I think January just gone, I've been at Toolroom 16 years.
Wow.
Or 17 years.
Wow.
Next year is Toolroom's 20th birthday, and they've been bubbling for a couple of years before I joined them, like building it up and working hard at it in the background. Yeah, they really, they smashed it in those early days. They really did. So this must have been sort of mid 2000s going into late 2000s, I suppose. Then going up to a lot of the stuff I was involved in at Toolroom would have been sort of 2007 to about 2012, I reckon, probably. So I was doing a lot of that, the A&R stuff. I was resident DJ, so we were doing a lot of the events back then. They were called Toolroom Nights.
I remember the artwork.
yeah. So, and that was amazing. It was an amazing time. I was extremely lucky to play alongside amazing artists and DJs and warming up for them at the big events, the Toolroom events. getting to travel, not only with the events, but obviously with Mark as an A&R role, like things like, Miami and all the things that we get to do in this industry, which are pretty cool. It was a really cool time. Really cool time. And I was, very proud of that time, I think, of working very hard, very much lived for it. I was one of those people that didn't really switch off, something I've only learned to do recently, actually. But it was an amazing time. And that led into other roles here at Toolroom. So I was working so closely with a lot of the artists at Toolroom and the core roster as well that we had here. Like any label has a core roster, a kind of family, working very closely with them. And a lot of them, some of them at the time didn't have management, and a lot of them were sort of, I had a relationship on a friend level as well. And they'd be asking me advice about other stuff. I've been offered a remix, and I'm thinking about doing this. And it coincided with a really mad time of when the music was changing quite a lot. So the whole EDM explosion as well. And Richard Dinsdale was probably he was the catalyst to setting up the artist management division here at Toolroom. And it was a period when Richard Dinsdale was he's been doing amazing things. He's a successful artist under his own name, under his own right, with this sort of electro tech house sound. He had a slightly interesting, quirky edge to it. And he had a manager at the time, and his manager was saying, look, you need to start making EDM. It's going to blow up. It's going to be huge. And Rich sort of confided in me and was like, I don't know what to do. And I said, don't make music you don't love. That's just crazy. And he actually sent me something that he'd started on, and it literally sounded like someone being forced to do something. I think the only analogy I can give, when you as a kid, you were asked to do a chore and you just did it really badly so you wouldn't get asked to do it again, like the washing up or washing a car. It was like that. It was just, he's an amazing producer, but you could tell his heart wasn't in it. And my bit of advice, I said to him, I would take a few weeks off. I'd tell your manager you're having some time off. I would switch off from the world and just go in your studio and just jam and have fun, do some music, just go and see what happens. And a long story short, a couple of months later, I was working late one night and he sent a track through, and it was just one of those stop in your tracks moment. And I remember running out into the office from where I was sitting down there. I think the only other person who was working really late was Miles. He's always putting the hours in as well. And I ran to Miles and I was like, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this. And I played him. And I think that's what was Weiss, My Sister. So when the track My Sister, and it was just one of those moments. And I said to the guys, I want to help Rich come up with a whole new alias, a new name, help launch him. And they were like, yeah, go for it. And that's when we launched the artist management side, which was engine room management. Yeah, I even designed his logo on Photoshop and took his first press shots and stuff with a really budget camera.
Oh my days.
I remember that time, and it was quite scary because we came up with the new name and everything with Weiss. And I remember going into the office and saying, can everyone go to the social media and give him some likes? He's got no followers. We started from zero. Because it was a real thing at the time. We were like, do we keep Richard Dinsdale going? Do we switch? But, I used other artists as models. I think Dave Spoon and Shadow Child was like, I was like, well, let's kind of utilise that as a bit of a model. And that was the start of my artist management journey. So Weiss was my first one, developing him and building him up. And other artists I was managing was Proc and Fitch, Adrian Hour. Really? I was doing a lot of work with Mark on Mark's stuff as well. Juliet Fox, Ben Remember. Yeah, it was great. And I think I did that it's really hard to put the time and years on stuff now. I find my memory's awful now when I'm getting a bit older. But
yeah, I do as well.
Do you? I think the longer you do stuff, the longer you work in this, it's harder, isn't it, to put it on? But I reckon that was about 5 years. And then the academy started developing, and I started doing a bit of both until eventually I went full-time academy. And now Paul Gardner runs our artist management division with some amazing artists. He's doing a fantastic job with that. And then here I am now at the academy.
Amazing.
Whatever that is, 6 years later.
Holy moly. That's
it's quite a journey, right? It's quite a journey. I've probably gone through quite a lot of the major roles within a record label and within this sort of area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's mental. I'm trying to have a breathe and where do we start? Where do we start picking that apart?
I told you it'd be difficult to shut me up once I get started.
Firstly, I remember the Maidstone Mafia. Let's go there because that's first in my talking about the whole.
Mafia. Oh yeah, it was called that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the sauce bar's been legendary. One of the guys at Terminals used to do a party at the sauce bar as well. And he had Nick and he had Carl playing there, and it's mad.
Yeah.
What's going on in the chat? Let's just have a breather. What's going on? Should we play a record? We've talked about a lot about records.
Yeah, let's play a record. I mean, you could go jump back to some of the older stuff if you want.
Which one do you want to play?
Right, so stuff that's influenced me. The Frankie Knuckles Tears is an amazing track, but it's quite a chilled track. I don't want everyone to start getting emotional, but that really was a huge one for me, because that was like that one I discovered sort of during the house music time. But I think the old school stuff that just sums up the 90s sort of sound as well for me, which has influenced everything I've done, probably like Alternate or Liquid Sweet Harmony, something like that. That was when I was like, 12, I suppose.
Wow. Okay, let's play Alternate.
Top one, nice one, get sorted.
There we go. That was epic. We can actually give that the look.
Yes, the rave horn. I need that sound effect in this office.
Oh mate, we've got loads. So we if we really like tracks, we give it a little Right, so somebody asked, what was that question we asked before the thing? DJ Steve Kelly, what's the biggest track you've signed, Pete? That was the question.
Oh my God. Biggest. I don't know what the biggest is. I mean, I've been involved in some projects that are huge that I'm so proud of. A lot of Mark's big projects. When he did Man with the Red Face, or I think one of my favourite when him and Dee Ramirez worked with Underworld on Downpipe, and being involved in that project from an A&R point of view, commissioning music videos, that sort of stuff. I think, do you know what? One of the ones I'm most proud of is actually a really old record by house legend Victor Simonelli under his alias Cloud9. And we did a deal with him to license that Do You Want Me Baby? And I commissioned a remix from Dusky. And this is going back now, probably 10 years, 2011, 2012. Super proud of that. When that remix came out, at the time, it was almost before the Deep House explosion. And everyone was playing it, but it was cross-genre, one of those, because it was just such an amazing remix of that. And then the Weiss stuff as well. I think well, that's probably one of my proudest, is because of being part of that journey with him. And from an A&R point of view, that's something that is so fulfilling and rewarding. If you can actually help someone creative and just guide them, and get the best out of them. And I think that to pull him out of where he was and just help guide him a little bit. And then that record, I was just like, oh my God. And it was just a success of stuff after that. The early Weiss stuff was amazing. It was a real individual sound. So I think Weiss, My Sister, and the Cloud9 Do You Want Me Baby Dusky remix are real personal favourites of mine.
The remix, was it commissioned?
Yeah, so we went to Dusky at the time, just approach them probably through their management, or actually a lot of it back then. I used to back then sort of try and avoid talking to management. I was more about like trying to get relationships with people in the industry and artists directly, because that's what it's about. That's part of networking. That's how you get ahead. And I think I was chatting to one of the guys at Dusky directly, and then when it came to the money side of things, you then speak to the management. And yeah, it was, I can't think what records they had just had back then. Again, there's my memory playing up. That was really blowing them up. And they started work on the remix. And this was an interesting one. Sometimes you get involved more from an A&R point of view. So you're like, I mean, there's classic memes out there actually and jokes out there where an A&R will just go, "Oh, we love that record you did there that went to number one. Can you just do it like that, but a bit different?" It's like the weirdest thing, right? When you get remixes at a record label, if you don't give them too much guidance, when they deliver it, it's literally you're like this, like waiting to press play. Like what are they going to do? Because I feel like a lot of artists, when they do a remix, they're like, they feel it's a point where they can be a bit more different creatively. But yeah, those guys just smashed it. I wasn't actually expecting what they were doing when they did this sort of more deep house thing, but they were just influenced by the chords of the original. It was such an amazing, these deep chords and the route they took it. And there was hardly any A&R feedback on that. It was just like, wow, this is amazing. Absolutely loved it. Whereas other tracks I've done, I've got really involved, even in a production point of view, of like, you can kind of be that fresh set of ears. It's just like what I do now with my role here at the Academy. You're a fresh set of ears to producers, and you can hear stuff that they don't often hear because they're so deep in within it. They're so emotionally attached to the music they've been working on. You can't hear beyond that. I'm the same with my own music. I can't A&R myself. And then I'll play it to someone and they'll go, "Oh, what about this, this and this?" And you're like, "Well, why didn't I think of that?" Because you're so emotionally attached. So some of the records I've worked with, I've gone in the studio with artists to a point of like, let's try and bring this into shape. I can see what you're doing, but let's think about this more logically. Let's think how we can make this a hit, and that can be all things to do with arrangement or just suggesting like certain sounds they use in the pianos aren't quite right. All sorts of things. But that Dusky one was a straight through winner. They just delivered that and smashed it, absolutely smashed that track.
Well, I'm going to load this up. I've got this link, so let's listen to this.
Yeah, let's stick it on.
Little fade. Just a little fade there. That was lush.
That was a beautiful fade. I just saw someone on chat say he's nothing like Peter Griffin.
Oh no, really? Oh. Right, so where were we up to? Holy moly. Where should we start? Let's start about, I'm interested in the whole artist management side. The big question is always, how do I get a manager? So I thought I'd ask you that because there's lots of new producers in here and DJs, and that's always what I get.
I'll be honest with you, right?
I mean,
everyone has different views on this. My biggest thing is, do you need one? Like, do you actually need a manager? Because I think a lot of people think like having an artist manager and having a DJ agent sort of helps make you. They're going to bring you loads of stuff. And the people that I've seen in my career that I've worked with, and obviously following what's going on in the scene with artists that are coming through, new artists, the ones that really get stuck in hustle, network, and are out there, and I don't just mean out there by going out, but by really putting themselves out there and seeking opportunities, are the ones that get so much more traction. And a manager, that opportunity will come at the right time. There's other ones I've seen where people have got a relationship with someone already, whether it's a friend and they're like, "I want to get into the industry, let me manage you," or they've actually got someone who's a bit of a junior somewhere and they're like, let's start something and can build something together. I've seen that. Similar to like me and Weiss, I suppose, me and Rich. But a lot of the other ones, it's the management will come when it's needed as well. I mean, there's artists out there that have had huge hits and managed their careers for quite a while without even having management to take that on. You're the one that drives what you do. You're the one as the artist who should be sitting down at whenever the start of or the end of your calendar year is, and you're thinking about what you're going to do for the next year. You should be sitting down with your manager and going, this is what I want to do, this, and this, and this. And the manager will go, okay, this is how we could make some of that work, and here's a few bit of input from me. It's not for the manager to go, I think you should do this, this, this. I'm going to set this up and that up. You're the one that still drives it. You're the one that's got that vision. So getting a manager, that's a tricky one, because I actually think it's hard. A manager's not really, I'm here to be honest with you, a manager's not going to really want to work with you unless there is something happening, if there's something bubbling. Because, or if they really see something in you and go, okay, I really, really believe in that. I really believe in your talent and I want to work with you. But on the majority side of things, there's got to be something kind of movement with you already, and the managers will actually start coming to you and ask and contacting you. But as well, if you're starting to bubble and things are starting to happen, you think, okay, a manager could really help me here, seeking out some opportunities I want to do. I can't seem to work with the other artists I want to work with. How do I get on some of these gig lineups? But you have got to have some traction. It's the age-old thing. I think it's the hardest part is that part of when you start to get your music together and it starts to happen, like in terms of it starts to come together with your sound, getting out there and you start becoming a breakthrough artist. That's when you've got to work your hardest. You've really got to graft. You can't just make tunes, put them out and sit back. You've got to get stuck in. You've got to help drive it. You've got to seek opportunities. You've got to network. And through that networking is how you meet people. The more you network, the more you put yourself out there and try to meet and talk to and find out, how do I connect to the industry, the better chances you've got of actually being able to work with people like management, like agents. So much of it comes from the networking and relationship side. It really does. So there's not an easy, straight answer for me to say, this is how you get one. It's like work really hard and network, and a manager will come at the right time. But if you actually make a plan, if you have a bit of a plan of where you want to go and you really understand where it is you want to go, based on other artists, based on certain labels you want to be a part of, you can actually, commit yourself to that and make a lot of that happen yourself. You really can, especially nowadays with marketing opportunities that are open to you, not just through yourself, but through working with other people like yourself and us at the Academy. You can make things happen yourself quite a lot now. You really can.
I love that. That's the answer. That's literally the answer I give as well. So I'm glad you said it as well, because I always say the same. Do you need one? Do you actually need one? Yeah. So I love that. A lot
of people have this thing in their head, and it's not nothing wrong to think like that. They just think a manager's going to make things happen. They do create some amazing opportunities, and a manager is there to manage your day to day, to constantly be on your agent who's getting you gigs on their back all the time and making sure that they're getting you work and that it's all coming together and running smooth so that you can focus on making your music, pushing yourself, hyping yourself and gigging, because doing it all is very difficult.
I love the story about Weiss. I didn't realise you did that right from the start.
It was my baby, I suppose.
That's mad. If you had to do that all again today, where would you start? Like, where would you sort of sit down with the artist, and what would the kind of plan? What would you say? Right, we need to do this, and then maybe this, and then you need to go do that.
That's really interesting. I mean, the first thing I would do is go grassroots and look at the music and actually say, right, where are you at with your music? Where do you want to be? What is it that you want to achieve? What sort of sound is it? Let's listen to the music. Let's listen to loads of stuff. I'd spend a few days with someone in their studio really digging into who they are, what their influences are and what their music is, because that's going to shape everything. That's going to shape their career. It's going to shape how they present themselves on social media, what sort of labels they go for, what sort of gigs. So I'd start right at the music so I can really understand them and give them some advice on that. And then it would be like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Are you currently working now? And is there a point then where we want to transition that so you're not working? But ultimately, where do you want to be? So that at least I've got, okay, that's the basis. That's the form of you as an artist. And that's where you want to be. And then we can start to paint that picture in. And then I think I'd probably, a similar discussion that you and me had actually earlier and with Loz, it'd be a case of making sure that they've got a certain amount of music kind of ready to go. If you're going to start that journey and push them out there, what have we actually got right now? because let's not just dive in and start contacting labels and getting records out there if we haven't got a bit of a plan and a good amount of records to actually run with. Because if you get some hype and one of those early records connects, everyone's going to want a piece of you, and more labels are going to be in touch with you, and people are going to want more. So let's make sure we've got a bit of an arsenal in our path. And then nowadays, as I don't know, actually, I was going to say I don't know what the word I was going to use actually, but it's part and parcel of it. You can't ignore it. I've been through different eras. Social media is such a huge thing now, and I've got lots of different views on this. I hate when I see the debates of people that are a bit disgruntled and they're like, oh, people with 100,000 likes but don't make music and this, and they get gigs and stuff. It's like, no, they're just using a different area they're being really savvy to actually push themselves. And let's be honest, that's where we are now. That is the scene now. You can't ignore that. You can't just be old-fashioned and sit in your studio and make amazing records and say, I'm not going to touch any of that. You can, but your chances will be a lot slimmer of breaking through. At the end of the day, good music always finds itself to the top. It does. It really does. But that's one area that I'd think of straight away then. It's like, okay, what is your social media tact going to be? What's your voice going to be? What's your brand going to be? And actually work out what the artist's brand would be. And that's very much what we did with Weiss. It's like, what's your style going to be? What are you into? What's your passion? Let's work that out, because you want to have all of those, what you're saying, in English saying, all the ducks in a row. You want to have those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you kind of really push forward. So the music, a social media plan, and then I generally try and think of a way that's going to get some attention to an artist at the very beginning. Back then with Weiss, he was doing a lot of old school edits, and we were sending them to certain DJs to get support. And Mac was playing loads of his stuff. Some of them actually end up being some of his releases later on down the line. So we were thinking, right, let's get a bunch of certain DJs that are actually going to support you, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to play your music to the crowd, and also the industry will pay attention to that. The industry will pay attention if like, the specialist shows on Radio 1, if they're really playing your stuff because they just love it. So even if but how does that work? Is it personalized edits for that DJ? Is it we do a couple of tracks that go to them before they're signed to a label? Something that's going to get attention to them at the start, at the very beginning, some sort of campaign that boosts it. And then it's a goal of how your music's going to get released. At the end of the day, most artists, I don't think it's the right way to just scattergun all your releases across a load of different labels. I think you want to try and find a couple of camps, a couple of homes that you can switch between them, but not massively different. I know that's easier said than done when people are just trying to get signed starting out earlier. But if I was doing it from a management point of view, I'd be thinking, right, where do I think are going to be good homes for your music? And then starting from my side to network and build relationships and get in there from a manager side of view. So that's how I'd start. That's probably how I'd start. That's
great. Holy moly. That was well good. Yeah, but I agree. I agree with all those. Like, I agree with you so much. It's like, yeah, get the tracks together. Yes, the whole social media thing, I agree with you so much. Like, it's a big wide mouth to shout from, and just use it and learn how to use it. Like you're saying, like when you were hustling, when you started, the hustle then was tapes and flyers and putting them on the windows, and that was the hustle then. The hustle now is social media.
It's the same thing. It was a hustle. It was just a different format.
And in 10 years' time, the hustle will be Web3 and games and wherever it is, but that's then, So you just got to do what you do now. Like, I completely agree with you.
Totally. You've got to be part of it. And everyone has a different voice. Everyone has a different style. One thing I will say is don't be scared by it. Don't think that just because certain people on social media are really loud and it's all about being jokey and being stupid and showing the utmost inside of their life, don't think you have to be like that if that's not who you are. If you're a bit of an introvert, I mean, a lot of creative people, a lot of producers are introverts. They just like locking themselves away in a studio. If that's you, don't be put off. You can still bring that to your brand. You can bring that to yourself. I always use him as a bit of a comparison, someone like Kolsch. If you look at Kolsch's social media, it's very arty. You won't hardly ever see him talking to camera and going, "Hey guys, this is me, I'm doing that." But he does it in a different way through art and through design, which is something that he's very passionate about. So don't be scared by it. There's ways to do it. And just look find someone that you think has a similar vibe to you, has a similar sort of sound to you, similar style. Just see what they're doing and look over like 6 months worth of their posts and dissect it. You can actually start to write it out and go, oh yeah, they're following a bit of a plan. Mondays they post about that. Wednesdays they post about that. Friday, just copy it. No one's like, no one's going to go, you've copied my social media plan. No one's going to do that.
They'll have copied it off someone else. Like
exactly. And it's the same with music half the time, honestly.
Like, everyone's copying
big
each other.
thing. Yeah, look, someone just said that on chat. That's where I was going. Bring your personality to it. The main thing is be you, be yourself, okay? And like going back to what you said, what I'd do as a manager, that's what I would do with the artist. I'd be like, what is your brand? Like me, I'm 90s obsessed. So it'd be very much 90s. And you're going to probably see a lot more of that coming through my social media soon because I've finally actually finished some music for the first time in about 10 years.
No way. I was actually looking at your beat. I was looking at your beat port and I was like, has he made any music? We're going to talk about production. We talk about music. Oh, no way. Let's talk about that in a minute then. That's cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We can go to that because there's quite a long, deep story, which a lot of people could connect to, you know, real life stuff, things that change in your life, things we go through, not even, you know, some what's the word? Detrimental, not positive experiences that I've been through, but which we all go through in life. But yeah, I'm sort of coming back round to that. So what is your voice? What is your thing that you're into? Mine's going to be all sort of 90s stuff because that's what I'm obsessed with, or food. I'm obsessed with food. Who isn't?
Nice. How do you marry those two? Like food, you have to kind of, I like the 90s thing. That's cool.
You can bring stuff to it. Like it's just thinking, you just think of a theme, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like exactly like what you did at the start. The meal deal thing. I love it. That's a meal deal question. That's brilliant. Straight in. You've got to.
It's just a nice icebreaker.
Yeah, but you can find something like that even funny within your social media. If it's something that you do that's quite regular and you end up posting that once a week, you know, your followers start to latch onto that and start to go, "Well, that's quite funny. That's them." Weird example, but you know what I mean.
There's a nice question actually in the chat. I was just seeing it scroll past, and it's kind of, I know everyone always wants to be signed to Toolroom, and they asked, is it Vitner? Are you a Vitner? Asked, is there a kind of top 5 of labels that you look at from a Toolroom, like other labels that are not in your little family label or your big family label, sorry, that you kind of go, we like these kind of labels, and if people are doing well on those, then they could be on, you know, they could be Toolroom fodder at some point, you know.
That's really interesting. From a bigger point of view?
Well, just thinking
from a large point of view, the A&R team here are always watching, you know, they're on it. That's what you do. You're on and watching who's bubbling, who's about to blow up, who is big. You're building relationships with them. But at the same time, you don't want to just jump and grab certain artists all the time. It is about building a family, building a crew. And I suppose from my point, when I was doing a lot of the A&R, there was a lot of labels that artists would release on before they released on Toolroom. And this is a bit of advice I give to people, actually, when you're looking to get signed. People that have studied with us have probably heard me say this. I call it ladder labels. Now, when you're making your tracks and you want to go and release somewhere, aim for the top, aim high. That's what we should all do, you know, because that you can achieve that. Anyone can. But there's also a point of going, well, you're going to face rejection. You're going to face silence. You're going to face brick walls. That's just the industry. That's the way it is, okay? Try not to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Annoyed, frustrated with that. That is the industry. People that work in this industry, they work 24/7. They live and breathe it. They're extremely busy to what they do. So sometimes they don't get back to everyone. But like I say, your music will push through. But aim high. Now, what I used to look at was go, well, okay. And I do this from a management point of view. So say, for instance, one of the artists I was managing on said they want to release on Repopulate Mars. I'd be like, okay, let's go and have a look at a few artists that release on Repopulate Mars that have a similar kind of sound to you. Doesn't have to be really close. Now let's go and look at those artist pages on Beatport. Now let's go and look at their tracks that they've released. Now let's go back 5 years. Because you can just look at all their tracks and you just go through the pages. Where did they release 5 years ago? Where did they release before they got to Repopulate Mars? A lot of these people released on smaller labels. And when you do this for 5 or 6 artists, you'll start to see a trend. When you do this for artists on Toolroom, you see quite a lot of artists release on like Glasgow Underground, Simmer Black, CR2, places like that often before they quite release on Toolroom. So they can be good ladder labels to actually go and send your music to that might be a bit easier to get signed to than the massive labels. But the massive labels will see you releasing on them. They'll notice you, and it's a good way to show you how. And there's like, there's not. I just threw those labels names out, but there's loads that you can see like that, and that's how you can find out about other good labels that are worth contacting on. That not just those huge ones that you're getting ignored from as well. So I do that, and I do it with like 5 or 6 artists that are all in a similar sound or a similar area, releasing on a similar label, and you'll start to see. You're like, oh, it's that label again, or that label again. Then go and do a bit of research on that label. At the end of the day, it's connects to everything I'm saying here. It's about research, networking, putting the work in. You've got to do that. You're the one that's got to go out there and find these things out, and it's available. It's all available out there to find out.
I love that. I tell out people exactly the same. So I love that, and I also the same with gigs as well. Like if you look at the same artist where they were playing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and who they were playing for, and go that ladder as well, and it kind of opens up a whole lot of things for you.
Yeah,
as well.
The exact same thing can work for gigs. You could look in even in your area of where you live and look at promoters, and that's how you might start to find out about local promoters and how you could get in. And I literally did it by just going to the events and hanging around, but not getting totally smashed, and actually looking at what's going on and going, right, those people are in and out the DJ booth. Those people are talking to the DJs. That's the owner of the venue because he's at the end of the bar with his bottle of champagne, and everyone seems to be kissing his butt. So I'm like, these are the people I want to talk to. These are the people I want to just start chatting to. What can I go and give them? Oh, I know. I'll go and give them. Back then it was a free tape, free CD, and so on.
I've even done it where that you watch him come out the DJ booth and you watch, right, he's going to get harassed by whoever it is. He or she's going to get harassed with a people there. But I know he's going to walk this way through this alleyway. So if I stand about here, he'll have got harassed, got over that. Then I'm here to go, hey, I'm here. And I've literally made a contact that way.
I've got an exact story of that at Studio 338 in London at one of our events. And Mark was playing. I was doing the typical thing of just rinsing his rider in the DJ booth, nicking his up. And do you know what? Something caught my eye, and it was right at the back of the dance floor. There was a guy just stood there, but he wasn't like going mad. And I just know, when you notice sometimes, it's almost like you get a sixth sense that someone's staring at you. And I noticed him, was like, oh, okay, and sort of thought nothing of it. And at that club, you've got to walk right across the club to use the loos. There's no VIP toilet or anything like that. And he basically just bought his time. It was about 2-3 hours later, I was cutting across, and he just popped out in front of me, had a bottle of Corona in his hand, just went, yeah, mate, bought you a beer. He said, I'm really sorry to do this, I know it. And just a short story, and he gave me a USB. And I was just like, wow, he's literally worked out that I'm someone that works at the label, that does that can help him. He's coming on, and I was chatting to him, and he's there on his own. And I was like, that was massive respect, and that went in my pocket, and it came back to the office on the Monday, and I listened to his track and got back to him. I don't think I signed it, but what I'm saying is that effort was just, it takes things like that. It's very similar to what you said, he's bought his time, and it's some people can see it as a slightly stalker level, but I see it as seeking out an opportunity and taking a chance.
Sometimes, you've got to do it. Surround Sound, I love that for a track name, by the way. It's Pete Griffiths Rider. Is that a forthcoming track?
Rider. Yes, I need to write that down. Rider. I love that. That is amazing. That's a great name for a track. Do you know what? It's really difficult because, Mr. Mario's just said, I hate being that harasser. It's really tough. It's one of those things where you don't want to be too much. There's a weird fine line between it, it's like people that message you on social media and then just message you again the next day with a question mark, and again the next day with a question mark. It's like, it's wrong, isn't it? But do you know what? I'm the same. I hate being that harasser, but if you don't try and take your moment and just be nice with it, just be nice, and an offering always goes down well, doesn't it? Like a bottle of beer or something.
Yeah. I always have question marks when it's like a weekend and it's like you were like, you didn't answer it because you're with your kids, and then you still didn't answer it because you're still with your kids, and then you're like, I'm going to get back to that person on Monday, and then you got three question marks, and you're like, really?
Yeah, I get that a lot. It's really difficult, isn't it? Because they can see that you've read it. So sometimes I don't like to even read them because I think I don't want them to see I've seen it. But you can't physically do it because you're right in the middle of something, like you said, with the kids. That's a big juggle. And then you don't get back to them for a bit. And I hate that. I hate being the person that doesn't get back to people. But there's only so much you can do in your time you have. You know,
I want to play another record because it's really getting sweaty in here, and I need to take my jumper off. So I'm gonna play another record because it's getting sweaty.
Okay, what are you gonna spin?
Right, get out Decor Passion. I absolutely love this record. I played it at the Cross I've only DJ'd every now and again, but one time I played at the Cross and I played this record. And it's a big favourite of mine, and I'm glad you put it on your list. So tell me about it from your eyes.
That record at the Cross, that's awesome.
Yeah, in the main tunnel, we were doing. It was like January. Do you remember a long time ago? There used to be a because I was working at Turnmills, and they'd get all the kind of people working for all the clubs on the first January of the month, just to kind of something to put on because it's the first January month, and it was one of those parties that was always rammed because it was one of the only parties in London. And I got to play at like 2 a.m.
Oh, amazing!
In the Cross, in the first tunnel, not the middle tunnel, but the main first tunnel.
Amazing.
So I got to play this record in that tunnel, which is hilarious, which was great fun, you know.
Yeah, that's a wicked gig.
So tell me about this record while I just cue it up.
So Get the Core Passion. So this is, I suppose this really summarises the stuff I love about the 90s, this record. That classic bass, the classic lately bass, piano, the vocal, it's uplifting. That's everything that I'm into, I guess.
Let's do it. Oh, I love that track. Great choice.
Amazing tune. Yeah, it brings back so many memories. Really, that's definitely sort of defines my sound and what I love.
Right. Where are we at with these questions?
So many questions here. I was looking at it. Someone said Pete Griffiths loves pizza. Who knows me that well? Do love pizza.
Do I dare go?
All the Toolroom producers, DJ as well. That's an interesting question. Yeah, most of them do. Most of them do. But it's not the only way to earn cash now through DJing at all. You know, if you're not comfortable with DJing, you don't have to DJ to earn the money. Just got to think about what you do with your music and look at other avenues. Some of our tutors, as well as artists, make music for TV and film.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, and is that from a kind of sync and publishing, and do we go down that route?
Yeah, and just getting into that world, making sample packs and all sorts of things, and then starting to engineer for other people, helping with mixes, helping with mix downs. You know, I just saw that question, just thought I'd mention it because yes, that's not cool. Everyone wants to DJ, right?
Before we go into, I want to talk about Toolroom Academy. Let's do that next. Before we get into that, I get to ask the Pete Griffiths question. Basically, part of my every one of my interviews is I asked him a question that you said to me at the We Are Listening way back when I come and spoke at We Are Listening for you guys, and you said, which is part of now literally a question of every stream. So thank you for that.
Right.
When music becomes your hobby, you have to get other hobbies. And what is your hobby? And that, at the time, I was like properly like I say 24/7 with music, and I was like, shit, I do need to break, and I do need that mental space. So I thought I'd ask you the Pete Griffiths question. What other hobbies do you have outside of music?
The Pete Griffiths question. I love that. I was very much the same as you, mate. I was 24/7, and it actually got quite dangerous for me. I actually had a bit of an overspill with it all, and realised how much I needed to pull it back and find time for me. Mine aren't that exciting now, really. I'll tell you what I did discover last summer was a paddleboard. I got a paddleboard, and that, I absolutely love it. Just going on local river or going down to the beach and just paddleboarding around.
Nice.
I'm obsessed with just being outside. I don't like spending too long amounts of time inside. So me and my family, most weekends, we always just head for the coast. Seems to be the coast. I just love being by the sea. It's something I feel quite connected there. So outside, fresh air, exercise. I started going back to the gym. I really enjoy it. I know it's a boring one, but it's that's an escape for me, a bit like what you do if you're running. It's one time when I feel my brain can just float and switch off and I daydream a little bit, which is nice when I'm at the gym. What else do I like doing apart from obsessively looking on eBay for old 90s flyers?
Are you?
Yeah. I keep doing it. It's really dangerous. It's really dangerous because my room you couldn't see an inch of paintwork on my room in the 90s, and I didn't keep a lot of them, and some of them are worth a lot of money. I've got some great ones actually that I've put in this special little book down there. There's a whole folder of them. But
nice.
So looking at old stuff, and now I've actually, my son, who's just about to turn 8, he discovered football about a year and a half ago. He's obsessed with it. I'm now the assistant coach for his under 8s team. I don't know how that happened. So that's turned into a bit of a hobby now. And a really sad thing, I love Lego.
Nice. Is that from a kid's thing, or did you rediscover that from your kids?
It was from my son. So my son got obsessed with Lego and buying him Lego sets all the time. And then he suddenly started to drift away from it and everyone kept still buying them for him. So I just found myself sitting there building them. And it's
they take a while, don't they?
It's the peace. It's the silence and the peace of just like, so yeah, building Legos it's just not rock and roll really. Getting outside and exercise is definitely one for me.
Yeah, that's good for me. That's why I go for a run and go outside and just go and then come back.
Do you know what? I did my first run in I don't know how many years, literally 2 days ago. And it was very difficult.
Yes. Yeah, I did one today.
I was just thinking, please don't there be another runner come past me. I had like all snot coming out my nose, tears coming out my eyes. You know, you're doing some really weird thing with your arms and trying to breathe really weird. And then I got past the first mile and I was like, it doesn't feel too bad now. I didn't even quite make it to 5K. I think I did about 4K. But I was silently pleased with myself, although the next day hurt. But that first mile, that looked horrific.
I did the foolish mistake when I started running, put on really fast music because I thought that would definitely help me get faster and definitely make me through it. And soon realised after a kilometre that was utterly stupid, and I should find music that's the same speed as I'm running, and slowed it right down to disco, and then I've slowly worked it back up again.
Love that. Slowly speed up. Yeah, don't try running to techno straight away. It's not the one.
Oh my God, or drum and bass, even worse.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, and that's my other obsession. That's weird. Someone else has just put that. Did they put that because they know that's what I'm obsessed about? Old VWs. I don't own one. I don't own one, but my dream is to have an old sort of 1970s bay window VW camper and an old Beetle. I like going to car shows and stuff.
I like the thought of them, but then I realise that I'm crap at anything mechanical, and I'd drive it down the road and it'd break down and I'd be just stuck with it down the road. And I'd be like...
yeah, they're seriously hard work. They're going to break down, right?
Let's talk about Toolroom Academy.
Okay, let's do it.
Tell me, right, let's just... So this started...
So Toolroom Academy, when did we start? We set that up, must be, oh my God, 5 years ago, coming on 6 years ago now.
Wow.
And we set it up, I think there was a couple of reasons. It wasn't just let's get into education. We were finding it quite difficult to actually connect with breakthrough artists. We were receiving about 500 demos a week. And it was like, we tried so many different ways. How do you get through all these demos? It's so hard. Is there another way that we can connect? And so we set up the Toolroom Academy with different things in mind. We first started doing events where we'd go out and meet people. And we did our first one at BMC, Brighton Music Conference, which was amazing. That's where we actually met and discovered Maxine and Weiss at those events. And we wanted to just, I suppose, break down this barrier that we felt there's a barrier between industry and new artists. And it's grown to an amazing thing now. And we love it. You know, as you do, something similar, having a community where you can open that up and let new artists actually meet each other as well as helping them. And it's been an amazing journey. I mean, we actually started... Our first thing, we partnered with Fader Pro with the sort of artist-based courses. Very common now, but back then it was quite groundbreaking. You know, people like Mark, Shadow Child, Umek, doing these pre-recorded courses of like, here's me making a track. And then we went into some of those live events and we did BMC, and I think that really helped doing these live events, that we could really understand what new artists felt they were missing, and what they wanted, what they needed help with. We were chatting and meeting loads of them, and that's when we developed the course, which is it's our main course, the production certificate. You know, it's interactive learning, and a big part for me was like, I want to bring feedback in from talking to artists, from knowing from what myself back in the day. Getting feedback is such a big thing to help people progress, and I really wanted to incorporate A&R feedback. And me and Ben Remember spent nearly a whole year developing this course and practicing it. We used to practice it to no one. It felt so weird talking to a screen back then. And like, I think we had our own person that we could just dial up and speak to live on camera at Zoom. I mean, try doing that now.
Oh my God.
This is pre-pandemic, and we were like, we can utilize Zoom. I think you can make it work. And they even helped us with audio sharing and stuff. And we practiced it for about a year, developed it, changed it. And that course kind of changed everything, you know, and we've had amazing student success over the years. Like, it's been crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's been brilliant. I mean, so many of the guys are here, actually, guys and girls are in here that have been students previously. I can't tell you, it sounds cheesy, I can't tell you how much personal job satisfaction I get from working with new artists, these talented, creative people with these minds and everyone's different. Everyone's got different ideas, different sounds. Being able to work closely with them and help them move forward, help them a bit of clarity, and just give them stuff from my experience and what I've learned and what I've learned from other artists, not just me, the artists I've worked with for years. Being able to pass that on in a structured way to help them move forward and just try to help them have a positive frame of mind when producing, because it's a difficult thing, can be a difficult and lonely thing. So yeah, it was a real game changer, that production certificate course. I mean, we've had, God, can I put a number on it? I'm not very good at maths. I reckon we've had probably over 600 students on our online courses, interactive ones. Wow. And it grew from there. You know, we expanded, we diversified, we had other courses, Creativity Unlocked, where we dial into just, you know, the production certificate's a course about everything. We strip things back and help artists sort of go, right, what is it you want to do? Where do you want to go? A bit like what I was talking about in management earlier, and help them through every stage of production, giving them feedback each step of the way. Creativity Unlocked was another one we launched with Dee Ramirez, where we focus more on just the creative side, on this central idea, having fun on writing parts within music, bass lines, melodies, vocals. Club Ready, the mixing and mastering one, which we're obviously going to give away in a bit as well, which has been fantastic. Yeah. And then our top end, which is our masterclass course. So that's a one-to-one program that we do. Nice. I think there's one or two students in here. I think there's a few in here. I think Dan's in, which is great. And that's an amazing course. A lot of those artists end up being signed to Toolroom afterwards, or if not, other labels that they want to go to. It's not everyone that studies with us. It's not about they want to make music that fits on Toolroom. You know, it can be anywhere in the industry. That's and cool. It has been a huge, huge thing and a massive part of my life and career, because when we started it, I was sort of still doing artist management, and then we were working out courses, and I was coming in and giving A&R feedback. And I just realised it was something I loved. You know, if someone had said to me 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, oh, you're going to teach, I'd be like, really? And I just love it. I love working with people and being able to help them. And then you have a sense of pride. I'm sure you get this exact same thing with what you do, Graham. You have a sense of pride when you see someone go on beyond that and start to have success and move forward and have a career. You just think, yes, you did it. You know, it's really cool. So yeah, it's been amazing. And so we've got to the point now where we've actually got, you know, we've actually helped the world's very first record label backed degree. It's an official degree program. Sick. That we work with through Falmouth University. And there's certain parts of that degree which is taught from us. And wow. I give the degree students log on for weekly feedback with me, A&R feedback. That's so sick. Me as well. So it's pretty cool how it's developed. Look, talking about it again, I do feel very proud for what we've developed, actually, for where we are at with it now. And obviously we did our own event in London as well, which you came down to, which was great fun having you there. Thank you for having you part of that panel. And we're going to be looking to do more of those. So we're going to be doing another live event next year again, and we may even take that on tour. and start to go to some other countries and tie in with a club night.
And I read in the IMS report that you've had now 7,500 students through all the courses.
All of the programs, through all of the on-demand programs, masterclass, interactive. Yeah, it's a crazy amount. When someone told me that, I was like, what? Really?
That's mad.
I've spoken or given feedback to quite a large number of that, which is
That's
good.
mental.
You know, as you can tell everyone, and Graham, I can talk till the cows come home. So it's a good thing for my role, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had some brilliant success. I mean, some of the guys and girls here actually on the chat are starting to get some really good connection with their music and moving on to some brilliant stuff. I mean, Camille, a student from Paris, she did our course and she kind of went from a beginner and then ended up did the opening set at Tomorrowland Winter, which is amazing. And she's getting some really good traction now. It's brilliant to see.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
It's always nice when I start interviewing people for my course, and the first part is, we did the Toolroom course, we did this course, and I'm already in my head, I'm going, right, they've got great music, or I know they're going to have great music because they've done through the courses. I know the standard is so high. You guys set, so firstly, well done. When I get them, I'm like, great, they've done a Toolroom course. The music's gonna be good. Let's carry on, you know. It's like one of those
it's really good. Helping with the social media and artist development. It's great. It's great what you do. It really is, you know. And I think, like I said, I'm sure you get the same sort of fulfillment yourself within working with people. It's brilliant, right? It's brilliant. And the thing that I'm really proud of now is we actually have this community. We have this Toolroom Academy community. We had it at the event, and it was amazing just actually meeting people face to face through everything we've been through the last few years and having a beer with them. But then seeing all of these students that a lot of them had never met, but then they all sat down and were chatting like they were best mates straight away. And having a beer together, it was just so cool because we realised a lot of students were doing our course and then sort of moving on, and it was like, well, how can we keep a bit of support? How can we stay connected with them? How can we help them to feel they're still connected to the scene, to the industry? So we started our alumni group, and it started just with a Facebook group, and now we do like exclusive events and exclusive webinars just for them to keep them connected for all different people in the industry. So it's an amazing thing. And now this is me. I'm fully engrossed in this. You know, the label, we've got such an amazing team out there running the label and the artist management. And I'm proud of being part of that from the very beginning, and obviously still being part of the Toolroom team, but I'm fully focused on the academy and love it, wholeheartedly love it.
The alumni group sounds amazing. Are you still, and you're still using a Facebook group for that?
So we have a Facebook group for that, but obviously we connect to them, to which they can all speak on. We haven't really set up our own online portal for them to chat, but a lot of them end up connecting in groups and going off. But what we do is do exclusive webinars and events for them.
Nice.
Like, you know, we've done things where we've had sample packs made just for them. Then they'll get emailed like an actual schedule of webinars that are exclusive to them. So we'll do like a summer one, a winter one a week. We'll have like Q&A from Maxine. Martin Eichen will come on and talk about how he makes stuff. Idis and Barrientos have come on A&R and listened to their music. People from major labels come on and spoke about giving them advice of how to contact labels, all sorts of things. Just stuff that's aside from what we do with the production courses as well, just to keep them engaged and keep them excited, keep them creative, keep them on their way, you know, because you need that buzz. It sometimes can be quite, as I said earlier, it can be quite a lonely place, music production. A lot of people spend a lot of time behind their computer screens on their own making music, and a big part of that is being part of a group and connecting and networking is a huge thing for it.
Should we play another record?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to go 90s still? Oh, you know you do.
Oh, let's play another record. Let's do something from Toolroom, I think. Let's do it. Cloud 9 one, didn't we? I think let's do Weiss. I've spoken so much about Weiss.
Let's
bust a bit of Weiss. One of his early tracks. I think this was one of the first ones that made us kind of start the whole project with him. And but
let's play this Weiss. Let's jump in and play a record.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. There we go. That's an epic track. That's such a big kick, first and foremost.
It's wicked, isn't it? It's yeah. That's what his sound was. It was just this heavy, dark sound, but produced in such a bright, clean, chunky way as well. It's awesome.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think I've heard that track before. I don't even know why, but I don't think I have. But I must have done. Yeah, mad.
It was, yeah. It kind of blew up, but only to a certain level. It didn't really go massive to the masses, but it was one that made his name just instantly known with the DJs and stuff that were supporting him. And Annie Mac was like, "Who is this artist?" And yeah, it was a great one, really good one. Someone said, "Does it pass the kick test?"
Oh yeah, it does pass the kick
test. Okay, pass the kick test. I quite like the kick.
Thank you. You mentioned yourself you're going back into production. Tell us about that journey. Tell us about why it started back then now, and let's talk about that.
It's an interesting one because I give so much advice to producers, and a lot of it I don't take myself. I think that's a classic thing, isn't it? I've always carried on producing and then just never finished tracks. I'm one of those people. I've got about 200 unfinished Ableton projects, and it wasn't until a certain point where I started feeling a bit more inspired. I don't think it was lockdown really, because lockdown I didn't slow down at all. I was still going mad working through that because everything we was doing was online. But I started getting inspired a lot more myself, I think, through working with so many other people. And I've just been, I made it a goal of mine last year to just keep finding pockets of time. And it's really weird because I just get an hour here, an hour there, an hour here, an hour there. But I have finally sort of got quite a few, I've got about 3 or 4 records nearly finished and another couple on the go. And they are just pure 90s. They're just pure 90s. Nice. Basically what we've been listening to. You're going to hear newer versions of that 90s sound. It's big pianos, big bass, big bass lines, big vocals. It's what I'm about. So yeah, nice. I will. I'll drop some previews soon on my social media. See if I can have a little taste. Do you know what? I don't even know if they'll go out on Toolroom. I don't know. I haven't even thought that far yet. I'm doing it not quite the same way as I would advise new artists and new producers. I suppose because I'm coming at it a different way now. It's a different part of my journey, part of my career. I'm not trying to start again. I'm not necessarily using this to build up for something. I'm just doing it to see where it's going. This is for me. This is something for me. So it'll be interesting. I think some of them fit Toolroom and Toolroom tracks. We shall see. See whether Mark Knight likes them.
Yeah, you have to sit there and play it and go and watch.
I've got to be in your shoes, guys.
Nervous face.
I'll get no reply from him. I'll send him an email and he won't reply.
Oh, can you imagine if he did that? Just ignore the email.
That'd be so bad, wouldn't it? I'd get that feeling of what everyone's been through, right? No, in all seriousness, I have played stuff to Mark. Me and Mark, since we've been working together, like literally every one of Mark's records he's ever released, he sort of sends them to me for like this final listen, he calls it. And I hear these tiny little things that I just give him little ideas and tweaks on. And I'll do the same with him. I'll play him stuff of mine as it's in creation and get bits of feedback, which is great. So he has heard them. But yeah, it is that feeling, Rob, right? I'm going to be, that scared anxiety. Is anyone going to like my music? I don't know.
So that's mad. So you got 3 or 4 ready. Okay, that's cool. And again, it's just you for you. That's nice, man. That's
doing it for me, right? It's I don't know. It's do you know what? It's worth talking about because I think it's really important. But I went through quite a bad spell last year with my own mental health. I pushed myself too far with work, with commitment, with just trying to do everything all the time. I burnt out. I had a bit of a stage where I burnt out. And it was a grim time. And it took me a little while to pull myself out of that. And I think it's important that, I'm not scared to talk about that and say that and talk about my experience of it. It was quite a dark time I went through. And coming out of that, I've spent a bit of time. I got a bit of help chatting to people, and I realised that I have got to make time for myself, and I've got to do things for me. And you've got to look after yourself and look after your mindset, and that's something I'm really passionate about now as well. And trying to make sure I have a bit of time here and there for myself. And it's for me, this music, but also it's just stuff I want to share with people and just be like, yeah, this is what I love, that 90s old school sort of vibe. So yeah, it's I think it's part of me feeling a little bit better about myself as well, and just going, this is for me, and Yeah, it's something because I don't think I think I realised last year, outside of, as you know, family life and a commitment to working in this industry is full on. It's full on. You know, it's 100 miles an hour, and I realised I never really gave myself any time for anything. In fact, literally anything. I just thought time with my family was my time, and it is important that you take time for yourself. And it's exactly the same for you guys. You know, even if you don't have families, even if you don't have hectic jobs, you know, thrive on that drive and passion that you've got for music production and wanting to get where you want to go. Just keep going for it. But do take time out. You've got to take time out for yourself and take time away from it, that environment, something completely different. Find something else within that. Okay. Even if it's just a little bit of time each week, you're not going to not make it because you're not giving it your all. It's really important. The day and age we live in now with social media and stuff, we all take so much on and so much information on all the time. You've got to take a little bit of time out now and then, okay, guys? So just, going a bit serious on one.
I hear you. Like you have to listen to your body. Like I feel like I've got close a few times. Like I feel like you're just worn out, don't you? You're like worn out, and then I start getting a bit weepy, and I'm just sitting there going, start shelling. I'm like, then you can't. I must drive on, and then you're thinking, because
I can't. Sometimes you get to the point you go, I can't. You know, and I found that I was getting home and sort of my wife would be like itching to talk to me about her day and stuff, and I was just like, I'm done. I'm spent. I don't have anything to give to you. And that's when I really realised it was wrong. And I'd just sit there and scroll on social media and just do anything to sort of try and I don't know what that word is. I was looking for a way to switch off, but I wasn't finding the way to switch off. So you've got to be careful.
Yeah, I read something. I saw something online, like if you're detracting yourself and there's like things you can look for in yourself where it's like if you're detracting yourself, you don't want to talk with your friends, you don't want to hang out. Like you say, you're just sitting there scrolling. That's a key sign of just your understanding where you're at that stage. And like you said, Hobbs, this week I literally didn't stream on Monday because I woke up on Monday morning and I was knackered, and I was just like, Cheryl was like, you need to have another day. You need to have another day off this long weekend and just do it
and
just
do
chill.
it. You've got to listen to yourself, man. 100%. You know, I went through something and I had an awful thing. I had a car crash on my birthday. I was actually on the way back from a touring gig at Ministry, and someone drove into me, and then I had a horrible thing with insurance and lawyers and stuff that was awful. And that really caused me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. And that mixed on top of pushing myself too hard, I got to a point where I just couldn't get out of bed. I literally could not get out of bed in the morning. And it was awful. And I was like, what's wrong with me? What's actually wrong with me? Why? And I felt like, why can't I just snap out of this? And I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I reckon I was just crying. I reckon I was crying for like weeks. Just, it was awful. It was an awful time. But I had support, and I seeked some help and, you know, spent some time speaking. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in talking about it. There's no shame in saying, I had spent some time talking to a therapist. You know, it's amazing what it can do. And look out for other people, look out for your friends and other people that could be pushing themselves too much in whatever way that is, whether it's too much partying, too much whatever. You know, you've got to look out for people out there because everyone does need a little bit of help sometimes.
Yeah, I guess those people in the chat where they're doing a 9 to 5 and then they're doing the production and then they're partying and it's just going to compound. Like I know myself, I get up and I'm going, right, I want to push as hard as I can, and I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, and these things need to drive on at the same time, and then you just get to that point where you're just
and dealing with that the passion and what you want to achieve is really difficult as well. You know, I'm suffer with anxiety. It's weird. I've had anxiety my whole life in social situations. A lot of people say to me, I'd never know, you'd never tell. And it's like, well, yeah, it's not, you don't walk around with a badge on, you know, saying I'm an anxious person. But I do stuff like my level of anxiety is quite high. You know, I'll text someone, and if they don't text me back in a day, I'm like, I'll reread that text a million times going, oh my God, I've offended them. What have I said? What have I done? Was it the last time I was with them? Did I say something that upset them? I'm a real overthinker. And I think a lot of creative people are, and people that work in an area that is their passion. I think that you can have all sort of different levels of this, and it can play absolute havoc with you. And I think people like all the guys and girls that are on here, you know, when you're trying to really get somewhere and achieve something and build something with a passion, with an art, with your creative, with your music, that is just a massive recipe for anxiety, self-doubt, all those sorts of things which can creep in. So be aware of it and don't be scared to talk to people about it. Don't be scared to research and Google it and find out things and like just read stuff and get books. Honestly, I'm really into it all now. I'm not trying to preach and say I've gone full on hippie, but it really helps, this sort of stuff. It's massive because we're all human. We're all the same. You know, all that stuff I've been talking about with my career, I've had loads of massive anxious moments. Do you know what? I had loads of, what do people call it? Imposter syndrome. I've had many moments of imposter syndrome where I've been sat there with massive artists and I'm just like, why am I here? I'm not good enough to be here. I shouldn't be here. Am I good at my job? I don't know. Oh my God, what am I saying the right thing to? I've been through all sorts of that sort of stuff as well. And we're all the same. We're all human. And when, I think you forget, don't you? In the celebrity culture, you look at celebrities, you look at the big artists out there, they're all the same as well. They're not some just untouchable force. God, like they've all been through the same things and we're all human, we all will. And to recognize that and realize that we're all on the same sort of thing, same vibe, same path. And just to realize that you aren't invincible in terms of your mental health. You do need to take time out and do things that will help you switch off sometimes from that stuff. Yeah, see, some of you guys are relating to it as well, right? It's really interesting to see
it's
this
Matt.
on the chat.
I'm glad we're having this chat. It's Matt because I do the same. I've like, I work a lot and I work hard and I try to just push as much as I humanly possible. But then sometimes I go, right, I'm going to burn out. I can feel myself burning out now, and I know the signs to look for now. Where in the past I'd have been on the floor in a mess, kind of not understanding why I was in a mess on the floor. But now I kind of go, right, I know the signs. I kind of, like I say, Chili went, you need to, and I went, yes, I do. But even like tomorrow, I'm going to have a day off for my birthday tomorrow. And even now I've had one off this week on Monday and I feel like I feel bad for having
your mind now, right?
I feel bad for having a day off tomorrow, even though it's my birthday. But I feel like, should I make that day up because I had one on Monday? And I'm like, no, come on, dude. You can have another day off. Like you can afford
on your birthday, mate.
You can afford another one off. Like you go, it's okay.
I think that's really important what you're saying, to recognise the signs. I've been somewhere that I didn't like that was very low, so I'm the same. I can see it coming now, and I'm like, no, come on, don't sit up till 1 o'clock in the morning on your computer tonight trying to make music because you've just done a 10-hour day at work and you're going to be up really early in the morning with kids. That's stupid. I try and think about things a bit cleverly now and see signs and do things that help me. Just simple half an hour at the gym for me. Just doing some light free weights and stuff like that really helps my mind. I feel so different afterwards. Or a lot of people do. It's common knowledge. Exercise releases endorphins. It's a good way to do it.
Wicked, thank you for having that chat. That was really cool.
No worries, man. Like I think it's important that people shouldn't feel strange talking about it if you've been through something. Everyone goes through different things in life, We have, haven't we? It's nice to see a lot of people talking about this as well, saying that they've got overthinking as well. Overthinking's a big thing. With production, sometimes you've just got to stop at that point when you are overthinking about stuff and just go with one thing. I'll say with production, when you get that, the self-doubt, the overthinking, is that right? Is that right? I've got 3 bass lines. What one's better? Just follow your gut. Follow your gut instinct. Honestly, your gut instinct's generally always right. So if people are asking about 338. 338 is, when is that? It's July the 16th. Toolroom at 338. I see a few people asking that. Come down. It's going to be amazing.
We have the overthinking conversation all the time. We're like, are we overthinking this? Like we literally then we'll go back and go, let's write down what we need to achieve, and then just like, do we need to do any more than that? Are we really overthinking? Because we write down a massive dock of things and we're like, shit, how are we going to achieve all that? And then we go, are we overthinking this? Is it too much? Is it like, let's just scale it back and see what we can do with,
Totally. I've always, my whole life, just set myself impossible tasks. I like write on a Post-it note what I think I'm going to achieve in that day. And it's like what would take a week. And I always used to do that. It's so stupid. And then you're just pushing yourself too hard. I think what you say is great. Stop, reevaluate, write stuff down, get it out, and then look at it realistically. What shall I do? What can I achieve? As long as you're doing something, as long as you're pushing forwards and making some effort to move forwards in what you want to achieve, that's cool. But you don't have to do it all that one night.
Do you have any big goals left for yourself? You've achieved a lot.
That's a really interesting question. No one's asked me that. I'd like, the academy, just to keep expanding it and to keep working with people. I think I'd love to myself. I don't know whether it's something we'll develop here at the academy, but working with younger children as well. I'd love to work with the younger children. I'm actually going to go to my kids' primary school and do a talk in a few weeks and just take I've got this little Pioneer, little miniature DJ controller, and just say, look, you can actually have a job doing this, but also about other things in the industry. Because when you ask young kids, like, what do you want to be? Astronaut, fireman, footballer. It's like, well, actually, you can have some fun stuff working in different areas of music as well. And I think I'd quite like to talk to the younger generation about stuff and just that sort of a lot of the teenage years to not necessarily try and scare them with how difficult life can be, but almost prepare them for some of the stuff that within the industry, because it's quite difficult, I think, for everything we've been talking about, knockbacks and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to get into that area more within teaching and keep growing the academy. Myself, what is my goal? To own a VW camper. That's my goal. I need to earn more money. Do you know what? It'd be lovely to have some of like my new music that I'm working on actually do quite well. Not for a boastful satisfaction thing, but just to have that for myself and see some music connect again. Yeah, I've reached one of my goals of DJing at Space Ibiza, so that was a big thing for me.
Nice.
And we were so lucky to have a residency there once and playing on that terrace. That'll stick with me forever. So yeah, I've been quite lucky in life, I suppose, just to stay healthy now and continue.
If the new records blow up, is there going to be DJing, touring DJ? Is this going to be a thing?
Oh, I'll definitely get back out there. DJing was my love. I did it so much for years. Every weekend it was my love, and I still love it now. I absolutely love it. Yeah, I'll happily play on the decks for 8 hours. So if that works, but again, how do you fit that into family life and all stuff? I generally do quite a lot with my kids at weekends because my wife works at the time at weekends. So she does a lot of her own work with illustration at the weekends. So it'd be quite difficult to DJ, come home at 4 a.m, then get up at 7 with kids. But I'm not 18 anymore,
Sod that. Sod that.
We'll see, mate. We'll see.
I know that one. No, sod that. They're up at 7 and they know what they want. They want attention. Oh my goodness.
And God, sometimes it's earlier than 7. My son as well. And now of course I'm up for football as well every Saturday. So I don't know. Do you know an interesting thing? And I'll put it to you lot. I was actually I was wondering of whether to put some of this music out under my own name or start an alias. I've been there and done it. And I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, do I start an alias or do I just go off my own name? I don't know. An alias sounds like a lot of work, to be honest, but
I don't know. There's another label manager releasing under an alias, which is in the garage scene, which is doing all right, but it kind of gives them that anonymity, which is quite nice.
See, that's mad. Someone just said my own name's got a ring to it. Do you honestly think that? I think my name sounds like an accountant. I think my name sounds really boring. Rider Raider. Yes.
That's your new DJ name. Rider Raider.
If I was doing UK Garage, I could hear that. Rider Raider. I could hear an MC saying that.
Right. Should we play another record? I feel like I'm running out of time, but you want to play Man with the Red Face? And you said there's a story behind this, so tell me the story while I load it all up.
So Man with the Red Face, this, God, what year was this? This must have been around 2008. And Mark and Funk Agenda were in the studio, and that studio was built in within our offices. I had a desk, and Mark's daughter's studio was there, so I used to hear stuff all the time. And they worked on this really late one night, quite quickly, as just a sort of something special for their sets for the Winter Music Conference in Miami. Nice. At 2008, and it came together quite quickly over one night. I was working and I didn't leave because I just heard it and I was like, oh my God, that's a legendary record, the Laurent Garnier Man with the Red Face. And they did that and literally took it to Miami, and I remember it was one of the first Beatport pool parties they did, one of the first ones. I still got it. It's a really old footage. It was off this really the handheld video cameras that flipped up like that.
Yeah.
And I filmed it going off there. and it exploded. And before we knew it, people were just coming to find Mark and Adam and me. Other DJs were coming to find us and finding out what hotel we were in, literally knocking on the door like, I need a copy of that. Can I have a copy of that? And within that 1 week in Miami, it just blew up. Every DJ was playing it. And before we knew it, we were on the phone and chatting with Laurent Garnier about actually releasing it, and had his blessing. And it went out and became one of Toolroom's biggest ever singles.
That's amazing. That's actually amazing.
It's mad.
And that was 2008. So that was you had MP3s and burning people's CDs and
yeah.
It wasn't.
That was like the sort of early CDJs and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, mad. Yeah, it actually did really well. I think we sold like quite a few thousand on a red vinyl as well.
Has anyone got that red vinyl in the chat? If you've got red vinyl, drop me a red.
Do you know what? I think if you've got that red vinyl, look it up on Discord, because I think it's worth a few quid.
If anyone's got a red, drop a red in the chat. I want to see if you've got it. Right, let's play this track. I've got it lined up. There we go. As much as I'd like to play a 10-minute track,
it's a brilliant track. Just to answer a few of those questions, guys. Yeah, all the parts are replayed on that. All of the synths, the sax, everything's replayed. The synths and the bass, I think, are done on the classic ES1 on Logic for those Logic users.
There's a couple of quick fire. There's a couple of quick fire chat questions from the audience. Dan and music. Right, are you ready for this? Quick fire.
Yes, Dan.
Which academy class has been the best? Pete, be honest.
Oh my God. All right, probably I'll say 001 because it was the very first one and I was absolutely scared shitless about going live and talking to everyone. So it was the best experience, but I honestly couldn't tell you a best class from in terms of the student performance, because it's, and I'm not copping out here because it's different every time. And I'm just massively inspired. Honestly, every single time a class finishes, their finished tracks, I'm like, wow, I'm always blown away. So
I love the fact you're still doing them live and you're still having live groups. That's mental.
So every Thursday night we teach the lesson live, so everyone can ask questions interactively through chat as we go. And yeah, Ben Remember D. Ramirez, amazing tutors on those live sessions. Ben Keane as well, who does it on Logic. And then I'm there for certain lessons, talking about different sort of artistic identity things, A&R things, hooks. It's good fun. It's good fun. Just like yourself, we get into regular things, regular bants and stuff. It's really good fun.
I remember when we were planning my course and we were planning the first time, we were like, right, when are they doing their live thing? Because we need to be on a different day. Like, it was part of our research and development.
Brilliant. I like that. Good bit of research.
Second question, quick fire. Don Bombilla, whose colour code system for Ableton tracks is better, Ben's or Dean's?
I can't believe you're asking me that, Dom. Oh, okay. All right. I probably use Ben Remembers more because I've worked with him longer teaching, doing more courses. So that's ingrained on me. But I have started using Dean's template from Creativity Unlocked recently. And I did one track that's got a very weird hybrid of red kick, brown bass, and yellow hats. And that's Dean and Ben. So very strange. I know, right? Yeah, pink for bass. It's weird, isn't it? Good question, that. I like that.
Someone asked, I wanted to ask about sending demos to labels. How do you manage expectations if you want to target several labels you want to get signed to?
Several labels you want to get signed to. I mean, I only ever target one at a time, right? And make sure that the demo you send is like super fresh. So if another label doesn't get back to you, don't send the same link to another label. All right. I still think old school's the best way. I actually think a private SoundCloud link with download enabled, so they can download it. I don't know why people don't put download enabled. They might listen to it on the go, but leave the stats on so they can see when it was uploaded. And literally, the minute you press send on that email, you should have only just uploaded that MP3 to SoundCloud, so that when the A&R opens it, they go, "Oh, that's fresh. That's just for me." If I have a demo and it's like 21 days and 36 plays, I'm like, nah. Not for me, because loads of people listen to it and it's not they're not thinking it's just for me. To manage expectations, I'd say be prepared just to hear silence. It's a nightmare with it. And I would say go beyond just the email address that you get for demos. Try and find out. Go on LinkedIn. Everyone wants to say if they're an A&R at a cool label, so you can find people. You can find who they are. Do a bit of stalking. I don't like people hitting me up on social media that much, but generally, if someone does get through to me occasionally on Instagram, on DMs. It depends how they chat and what they say. And we end up chatting a little bit, and then I'll listen to their music that way. So don't just go beyond an email. And I know it sounds old school. If they've actually got an office, send it to me in the post. We used to get so many in the post, and we don't anymore. And if I get a USB that comes in the post and it's all presented a bit mad, I'm like, wow, look at that. I walk in the office and show it to everyone. Suddenly you've got 10 people from Toolroom looking at your demo, and we signed one like that before. I've had some mad ones back in the day. I had a USB sellotape to a bottle of Bud that was put in a post. I had a USB sellotape to a pack of Parma ham. Some really mad ones. But honestly,
surround sound just said, send you a VW bus with a USB stuck on it.
Mate, I will sign you 100%. Honestly, but if you don't hear back from a label in about a week to 2 weeks, just send them a little follow up and just go, look, did you have any chance to check it out? If they don't get back to you again, try another label. All right, bam, do the ladder labels thing that we were talking about earlier.
All right, we're going to give away this course in a minute.
Ooh, let's do it.
We'll play another record, and I'm going to work out how this spinner works while we do that. So let's play. Hang on, let me move that over here. Let's play. Should we play this one?
What are you going to play? You pick something.
I was gonna play this one.
Go back to something 90s.
Yeah, something 90s, and we're gonna go.
Oh yes, definitely one of my all-time favourites. A weird thing to say, but I think if there was a record that would be played at my funeral, it would be this.
Do you know? I think the same.
Do you?
That's weird.
It's a weird thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't want to say that, but
do you know? I actually think the same. It's on my funeral list of tracks I would play. Right, let's play this record, and I'm going to work out how this spinner. We're going to get all these names on this spinner. There we go. Wow, what a record.
What a tune. I think that's definitely, I think when I hear that again, I've not heard that in such a long time. I feel like I can, when someone says that impossible question, what's your favourite all-time tune?
Yeah.
It's really hard to answer. I feel when I hear that again, I'm like, yeah, I can just say that easily.
Yes. Yeah. It's so many memories. Like, it's so many from Ibiza and so many from the years, and like,
oh,
like I say,
totally. Some of the guys on chat were talking about it, and Steve was talking about it as well. Yeah, it just takes you back, doesn't it? It's those moments, those real moments. I mean, that's when you experience a rush, the classic old school rush from that era.
Oh yeah, you wanted to talk about resurgence of 90s music generally?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Because I suppose that's an era I'm massively. I think that's probably why I've been re-inspired again as well. Is because a lot of people are diving into that. I mean, it'll be like anything, any part of the scene that becomes big and popular, they often become overkill. Everyone goes for it. But I love it. I love the fact that everyone's reaching back to that, because there's something in the music that's to do with that pulls in that time, makes it a bit more carefree, Because I think we've gone through, I love all genres of dance music, of house music. But I think we've gone through a couple of phases where it's like it's all about being serious. The music itself, you've got to be serious or cool. Everyone's trying to be, we're all trying to be cool. We're all sort of all just wearing black, and we're all going for that stage. And even the music's represented that a little bit. And I think the 90s sound coming back I think it's a reaction to the actual pandemic and stuff. Personally, I think just that sense of things that we lost for a while and coming back, it's a similar thing. I think it was only natural for that sound to come back, because when the 90s really broke and that sound was coming through it, that's what it was. It was the first taste of that in the UK massively, and the first taste of freedom and people expressing themselves through music. And I think that's why it's coming back. Yeah, you're so right. 90s fashion's coming back as well. It's mad, right? And I think it's brilliant to see. I'm just loving all the 90s synth sounds, and I think people can be a bit more free with the actual production. Like when you're actually inside your door and you're making the music, you can be a bit more free. You don't have to stick to quite as many rules, I think, which is good. So it's really good fun, you know. It's not for everyone. You know, everyone doesn't, you know, but for me, I'm like, yeah, this is a bit of me. It's funny because I spent so long telling my students, like, if it's not really a sound you love, don't just jump on the sort of 90s piano house bandwagon. And then here I am making it right now. But it's a massive sound. It's wicked. Oh, the F9 sounds are brilliant, aren't they? Shell suits. Oh my God, mullets.
Amazing.
Yeah, I've got a couple of boxes in the loft, and weirdly, today my kids had to go to school dressed as something from a different decade to represent all the decades that the Queen has reigned for the Jubilee, for their Jubilee picnic. And my son's year was 90s, and I had him the best outfit lined up, and he refused to wear it. I was gutted.
Oh.
I even got him a little T-shirt with the original Acid face on it, and a bucket hat. He had a bucket hat. He had my old original whistle from the mid-90s. I've still got my whistle, and it's the funny thing is where I held it in my mouth, it's all ground down from my teeth. But he refused to wear it.
Dreamscape bomber jackets.
Oh, I wish I still kept those. I wish. There's a group on Facebook I'm part of, Rave Memorabilia 90s, and they all talk about it. And people post photos of their old bomber jackets and record bags. It's brilliant.
Then from a label point of view, you've got a big summer. Like the new Casey Lights track is absolutely, like, I fucking love that track. It's so good.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It is brilliant. Do you know what? Mark, Matt, George, the music team are just smashing it. I really think they're smashing it with the output. There's so much exciting music that's already come out this year and that's still lined up. I love it. I love summer in general for music releases, just because everyone it all goes a bit more happy. And I think you can tell from music that we've been playing today, that's very much me. The sort of uplifting stuff. It's all about being uplifting, you know? So, there's some amazing stuff coming up from the label, which is great. And from the Academy, we've got some amazing stuff as well. Siege is doing a new course, Driving Tech House. Oh, we've got a really amazing on-demand course coming soon. D. Ramirez is doing one all about hooks, which is going to be amazing. So yeah, it's big. And do you know what? Next year is Toolroom's 20th year. So there's going to be some massive celebrations and releases coming next year for that as well.
That's mental. 20 years of Toolroom, wow. It's 15 years of data transmission next year as well, which is cool.
Isn't that mad? When you say that out loud, you're like, what?
I know. I've run a company for 15 years. Holy moly.
That's wicked, mate. What an achievement. No, seriously, what an achievement, you know? Started out there on your own with a company and smashing it. It's that's wicked. 15 years. You're gonna have to think about what you're gonna do now.
I've started thinking about it. It's like
started. I like it. Oh, don't say that. I would have been 12. Make me 12. Age is but a number in this industry, honestly. It really is. Yeah, Pez. Oh, wow. Yes, Skeleton Keys. Pez is the original artist. I mean, not to sidetrack it too much, but this is one of many that I have of these.
What is this? Oh,
so these are all like old. These are all really old original flyers. You can see from the fonts and stuff. Do you know what? This one's really cool, this one, because this has got, look at the lineup of this one. I love this. And it even says, I like the fact it says 10 quid. But look, Carl 3 Decks Cox. So that's 1991, that flyer. Yeah, I've got loads of these. I've got loads of Pez flyers in here. Yeah, this is part of my hobby and passion, collecting 90s rave memorabilia. Yeah, I got a Labyrinth one. Did you see the Labyrinth one? I literally just went past that.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a few rare ones in there.
I can't wait to see how this transposes now onto your social media for your record releases.
Yeah, I've got to have a think about that. I've got to put some time aside to actually think of a little bit of a structure.
I'm excited to see how it comes out. Where am I going with the sample thing?
Sample clearances. Sample clearances are a nightmare. Yeah, students always ask about this when we start talking about the use of vocals and stuff like that. It's really tough. It's really tough because on one hand, I think you should be aware of what you're doing and aware that you could face some difficulties along the road, but I don't think it should affect your creativity. I don't think you should be put off from using a sample. It's just how you use it. Like going to really big classic records and just using their vocal, you're just sort of doing a remix or a re-edit or a bootleg. And that doesn't quite fly now. It's not really the done thing. There was an era for that. It's about getting more creative, digging a bit deeper, finding a vocal that is a bit unexpected on something else. Or if you get a vocal from a really known big track, chop it up and use a different part of it. Be a bit clever with it. But don't let it stop your creativity just because there might be a bumpy road with sample clearance ahead. I'll be honest with you, you'll see a lot of the really big guys, the big famous guys. It's easier for them, right? Because the labels, the people involved know that there's probably going to be a level of success with that record, so they'll invest their time and their money to pay for big sample clearances. When you're unknown and you're breaking through, it's a lot harder. Your track has got to smack for a label to hear it and go, okay, we'll invest in this. We'll go for it. If you really believe in that then do it. Go for it, but just be prepared and be aware what is involved in sample clearances. Do some research on sample clearance, do some research on copyright, on publishing, so that you know this stuff. But yeah, don't let it put you off. It is hard work though. A lot of tech house tracks for years have always used like big 90s R&B records, big samples, and they're generally owned by the majors or big old disco records. And when you actually want to go and clear them and get the sample cleared, they'll be coming at you for like anything from $3,000 to $5,000 just as a fee, a clearance fee. And then they want 50% of the royalties and all the publishing and all these sorts of things. So you've got to be prepared for that. But there's ways around it. A lot of people now get samples. If it's just a vocal or just one musical part, they get it replayed. And that is a lot easier to clear through publishing. All right. So do your research on that area. That's my one tip for you, all right, when it comes to samples.
And if you want a royalty-free vocal, join our producer competition that we're giving away the free vocal. We create a vocal on our stream and we're giving it away to join our producer competition. So go and grab it now.
What a segue. What a link, Graham.
I know, mad, right? It's a little bit
done
pro
this before, mate.
A little bit pro every now and again. A little bit. Have we got any more questions before we get out of here? Let's get Pete go back to his job. But thank you so much for doing this, though, man. It's been so much fun.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure, mate. No, thanks for having me. It's been really nice just to chat and for myself, actually, to talk over all the history stuff. I hope people found that fun and a bit helpful with some of the advice as well.
I loved it.
There is one thing, though, that we haven't covered yet, actually.
What do you want to cover?
So there's actually a little surprise for you.
Me? Oh,
for you, yes.
Oh,
so if you scroll to the very bottom of your scene selector in Ecamm.
Oh no. Oh no.
The last scene there is called Surprise.
Oh
so
no.
hit that scene.
Amazing.
Happy
Amazing.
birthday to
Amazing.
Happy birthday to
Amazing.
you. Happy
Amazing. Amazing.
Happy birthday to you. Ching pong.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Feel like an idiot. Happy birthday to you. Graham.
Oh no.
Happy birthday, G, you absolute legend. Hope you have an amazing day and catch up with you soon.
Oh, you're
Hi
amazing.
G, happy birthday mate. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for all your support as always and have a good birthday. Boop.
Happy birthday, Graham. Have an amazing day. Thank you for being an awesome human being.
Graham, Jono here. Just a quick message while I'm at work. Just to say happy birthday. I hope you have a great day.
All of them.
And we'll catch you soon. Cheers, bud. Have a good one.
Ah.
Yes, G. Josh here, mate. Just a little message to say happy birthday. I'm sure you'll have an absolute cracker. And hopefully we'll see you very soon. All right, mate. Peace.
Oh, no.
Princess. Happy birthday, G.
Yes, mate. Happy birthday. You know what it is? Burpees for breakfast. For what better way to send you a message straight after getting after it. Wishing you an amazing day. And bro, wish you the best year of your life so far. Big, big love. The vastest amount of love. Have a great one. Oh.
What's going on? It's your boy Rob Deshawn here, and I just wanted to give a big shout out and happy birthday to my man
It's really
Graham
long.
over at Data Transmission. Really appreciate you and all you do for us artists in the community. Real talk. Enjoy your birthday, man. Have a good one. Want to come over there and party with you soon. Peace.
Hi Graham, happy birthday, mate.
Wow.
Lovely to see you last week. Hope you got the rave shed fired up for some action this weekend. And hope we get to see you soon, celebrate in person. See you soon, mate. Happy birthday.
Hi G, I just want to wish you I say this in Swedish instead. Ha den här ha en fantastisk dag och hoppas att du blir jättegammal. Hej då.
Hey G, happy birthday. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for everything and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Happy birthday, Mr. Farmer. This video is just all about you and it's going out live on your Twitch and I am not going to take advantage of that in any way. It's just me saying happy birthday to you. That's it. That's the only message in this video.
Hey Graham, it's Mario. I want to wish you a very happy birthday and say thank you very much for all that you do for us. We appreciate it. Cheers.
Hello Graham, happy birthday buddy. To an absolute legend, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to wish you a wonderful day, not just from me, but from all of the We Are Hummingbird community. You're an absolute top bloke. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Put your feet up, relax. I hope you get spoiled rotten and have a wonderful, wonderful birthday. Hey!
Hey there, big man. Big G Fizz. Just wanted to wish you a very happy birthday, mate. Lots of love from the Hobster and family, of course. Have a great day. Hope smash a few things. Have a few overpriced tequilas. Yeah, I know how you like your overpriced tequilas, or you like paying for your overpriced tequilas. But yeah, have a wicked day, mate. Speak to you soon.
Happy birthday, Graham. Have an amazing day. Enjoy your meal deal. And take a well-earned break from all the incredible work.
This is so long.
Have a great day.
It's so many.
Hey, this is Selko, and I want to wish my man Graham a happy birthday.
Hi Graham, happy birthday, mate. Thanks for all the help in the music. It's a real pleasure to meet you. Speak to you soon.
Yo, Graham, it's Harvest. Just want to wish you a happy birthday from myself and all the shitheads. Appreciate all the love and support.
Happy birthday, G. Hope you're having a great day, filled with happiness and lots of presents. You're smashing it right now, man, and I'm so proud of you. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Hi, Graham. Dusky here. Just a quick message to say happy birthday. As I can't be there to join in the festivities while you were drinking in person,
This is
I thought
mad.
I would do the next best thing and have one for you. So take care. Have a good one, G. And cheers.
This is mad.
Happy birthday, mate.
Hey Graham, NXL here. Just wanted to say a big happy birthday. Thanks for everything this year. Really appreciate it. Everything you've done for me. Happy birthday. Have a good one, man.
Graham Farmer? Heard it's your birthday and you're not in my bed. Happy birthday, mate. I'm waiting for you.
Happy birthday, G. I really hope you have a great day. I just want to say thanks for everything you've done for me over the last year and a half. I've loved every minute. It's been great fun. It's been great getting to know all the shed heads and working with the DT family. So I really do hope you have a great day. So cheers. And back to Pete, an interview made now, please.
Wow.
Oh, mate, Loz absolutely smashed that. That is amazing.
I know. I don't know what to say. That's amazing. Thank
You're
you so much.
speechless.
Yeah, I actually am.
Oh,
Holy moly.
mate, That is absolutely amazing. Big up to Loz. I think that was such a nice thing to do, mate. But yeah, huge happy birthday, man. Happy birthday from everyone here at Toolroom as well, dude. You're an absolute legend, honestly. You graft so hard, mate, in the industry and help so many people. So you really deserve that day off, mate. So big respect to you, dude. Big respect.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you for everyone. Oh, I don't know what to do. Right. Thank you so much, Pete, for joining me. Thank you.
No worries, mate. I did actually pull out my special glasses as well.
Yay! Yeah,
I thought if it's a birthday, hang on, my ring light's reflecting on him. I'm going to turn it off.
I've got these ones as well. Look.
Yes.
we have a box of glasses.
I've got to pull them out for you, mate. This is what this is all about.
Love that.
These are the official birthday glasses.
Wow, I want them, man. That's so good.
They're wicked, aren't they? They are super cool. No, seriously, man. Thanks for having me, dude. It's been an absolute blast. It's been so much fun, and connecting with all the shed heads. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they are now. The shed heads are here.
Thanks for everyone who joined in the stream as well and has been asking questions and that. Really appreciate it.
Wicked. Right, I need to get out and raid, so I will say bye-bye. Thanks. See you soon, mate.
Thanks, mate. Have a great day tomorrow on your birthday, dude. Enjoy your day off. And thanks again for having me, mate. Nice one.
Yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. If you found this interview interesting, consider giving it a like and a comment. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and let me know your biggest takeaway below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I'm back on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you can check out the schedule from the link below as well to see who's coming up in my interview series. I'll see you in the next Twitch stream or the next YouTube video. I'll see you soon. Bye.